Hello everybody, we are making a video that we've never made before. We are going to do a quick little Q&A because we haven't really talked a ton about ourselves, I feel like, on the channel, and just some basic kind of info and some Q&A, some questions that we have gotten either on our videos, on Instagram, or just in-person questions. So if you're new here, my name is Austin.
I'm Sarah.
And welcome. Let's get started. We're on a road trip right now.
I was going to say, should we acknowledge the fact that we are in a hotel right now?
We are in a hotel. This is not our home. Needed to make a video this week, and this is what we're doing. So, crack open your LaCroix, and
But don't say it like that.
and here we go. Q&A with Cypress and Sparrow and Austin and Sarah.
Cheers.
And Sarah has no idea what these questions are, so
No.
this should be interesting. First one we have is a very important basic question, if I can find it here. What is homesteading?
Yeah, that's a common question.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of obvious when we got started, and then I would post something about it, and my sister was like, "What do you mean, homesteading?"
Yeah. I think for me, how I kind of envision it, because I think there's a lot of different levels, right? You have people that totally exist completely self-sufficient, and I mean like completely self-sufficient, where they grow all of their own food, they do their own, they have their own trade skills that they can do, they have their own medicinal skills that they can do. So I think though homesteading is just kind of striving towards some form of self-sufficiency in your life.
Yeah.
So most commonly, usually with food, so growing a garden, raising your own animals, but even I think community sufficiency as well. Like we try and do a lot of local shopping and try and when we need a service done, electrician, or we just had our garden tilled up, trying to find people locally to do it within our little community. And I think that's kind of at the heart, I think, of what homesteading is and what a homestead is.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's doing everything that you can, but the things like growing as much food as you can, but if you don't raise beef, buying beef from your next door neighbor, I agree that is a really important factor of homesteading, is just not just local seasonal food instead of just I don't know,
food that gets shipped in
pears
from
that
a
you
different
could grow
country.
in your backyard, but that you are getting from India instead. It makes no sense, when you can grow it yourself, why not?
Yeah. So you can apply your own definition to homesteading, but that's kind of how we view it. So, second question, why did you choose to live this life? So we grew up as kind of suburban city kids, and I didn't know a thing about gardening, growing food, raising animals, building, different things, being resourceful. But I think for us, and you probably, hopefully you would agree with this, I just didn't see us long term in the same environment that we grew up in. Not that it was a bad environment.
Right.
I really enjoyed my childhood, but seeing our community where things were headed, especially, we were from the Twin Cities, so Minneapolis, St. Paul area. And if you are familiar with that area, you know that it looks very different now than it did even 5 years ago. And seeing that was just kind of disenchanting, and trying to envision of raising a family there was really hard, really tough for me personally. And so we ended up in the middle of Wisconsin, or western Wisconsin, I should say, on just our own little kind of end of a dirt road, dead end road, quiet 10-acre plot. And we've been there for a year and a half, but it's been awesome so far.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. And too, just for me, a lot of it was wanting the simplicity of it and the peace that comes with it. I think a lot of times it can be an overly romanticized life. And I am guilty of this, scrolling through Pinterest and seeing the perfect gorgeous garden and chicken coop that costs $10,000, and you're that looks lovely. And
I never do that.
And there is like I like having like a beautiful home, you know.
Right.
It's you walk in and it's just a breath of fresh air when it's beautiful, peaceful, whatever. And so that was like one of the biggest things for me as someone who just struggles with anxiety, of just like wanting to get back to basics of like, this is a much simpler life of how it used to be. Just growing your own, growing your own food, and like just like really being connected to the food you grow is huge. And just like seeing the eggs that you can literally lay the egg that you're gonna eat in 20 minutes, and just growing all of your own food is just really cool. And just it's just a lot simpler. There's something about just like hiking out on a cold fall morning, grabbing some wood, starting the fire, you know, it's peaceful. So, and I think it's hard to totally detach from that, from like the outside world, but I think that's part of what drew us out here, was the ability to kind of just take a step back and just live our life a little more simply.
Yeah. Perfect. Said it way better
that
than I could.
That was kind of a novel,
but yeah. Do you homestead full time? I wish. No, we do not. I'm a youth minister. My career, that's what I do when I'm not out with the animals, gardening, building stuff. I'm a youth minister. It's nice because I have a long commute. It's about an hour drive to the church that I work at, but it's flexible. So I only have to go in a few times a week. I kind of get to make my own hours, which is nice, and allows for flexibility with things that we have going on in the homestead. So.
Yeah, I'm giggling because I have to burp because we're drinking LaCroix. We could be like Emma Chamberlain and just like let out a belch on this whole Q&A.
Oh, gross!
I probably won't keep that in.
I'm a web designer. That's what I do. I work from home, which is really nice.
Yeah.
So, but I think the goal is to just like make our homestead a little bit more of like a revenue source, so that we can spend more time doing those things we love. I mean, I love web design and you like youth ministry, but so we're happy there, and I don't know if we'll ever go 100% like just like our whole income source is the homestead, but I think like trying to grow it a little bit, like having a little farmer's market stand and selling eggs and
I would
and
definitely be open to selling stuff that we grow or raise on the homestead. It's just trying to find like our in or like a untapped niche in the you know, because I feel like nowadays it'd be really hard to break into like some of the niches of like eggs or just like generic produce or whatever. But,
so you have to do something that's not there, like scope out the competition at the local farmer's market, but except not competition, do something different. So like fruit, there's not a lot of fruit, there's no quail eggs, and I want to raise quail, so
there we go.
Maybe you guys will see a video in the spring about raising quail.
How much food do you grow a year? This is a good question.
I don't know.
I don't know exact, and I will say last year was way better as far as the amount of food that we were able to grow and then store. This year was not great, I would say.
No.
We had probably the best thing that we grew this year was definitely cucumbers. We probably were able to harvest a few 100 pounds of cucumbers.
Yeah.
And then
lots of kale. Our kale did great.
Yeah, and then lettuces. So kale, spinach.
Our snap peas did well. It's just a short season for them.
Yeah. But like tomatoes did bad. Potatoes didn't do great.
No, we didn't.
Peppers didn't do great.
Peppers just in Wisconsin are hard.
Yeah. I found we're 0 for 2 in our pepper tries, but so I don't know. It's hard to quantify, but not as much as last year, and that's one of our goals for this upcoming year, is to be able to grow more and to stock more away for
and to kind of scale back on the things that were just like kind of fun, or were like that would be fun to grow, and do like really practical, what are we going to be able to store long term, and like what's a really nourishing, more calorically dense food. So like those potatoes and squash and things like that, instead of like weird funky purple tomatoes that we didn't eat, you know, because I just like to do fun things. We did pink celery, we didn't eat that.
Yeah.
So just going back to basics, I think will be our strategy for the garden this year.
Totally. What animals do you have / plan to get?
Well, we currently have chickens and ducks. We have Welsh Harlequin ducks and call ducks. And we have a variety of chickens. We've got not Easter eggers, olive eggers. What are there? Bluebells? Prairie bluebells,
black copper morans, and then some other random mixture ones.
Sussex.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
So ducks, chickens. We have 2 dogs, Harold and Zelly. Zelly's a shepherd mix. Harold's a good boy. That's what Harold is.
He's a special boy, and we don't really know what he is.
Yeah. And then 2 cats. So.
R.I.P. Manny.
Unfortunately, one of our cats ran away, and he has not come back. So, still a little hopeful, but
fingers crossed he shows up someday.
Yeah. The next question is, what is the hardest part about homesteading?
I think for me it was that romanticizing it a little bit and being like, there are days where you really don't want to go clear out the garden in the fall, you know?
Yeah.
Like you did all of that this year. But there's just days where you don't want to do the hard labor.
Yeah.
That comes with it, for me anyway. Because it's really rewarding at the end of like a hard day's work, but there's just some days where you're like, it would be nice to just go to the store and get my veggies.
Yeah.
But not nearly as rewarding either, so.
Yeah, I think just general home ownership is hard. Like you're always playing catch up with trying to keep things tidy and nice and clean. And I think that's just amplified kind of when you're on a homestead and you have animals and you have a garden to watch over, and you have to chop your firewood, and you have to, constantly like trying to push forward and innovate and add new features to the property that'll help us. Especially like we have built like a ton over the last year and a half that we've been there. So I think there's never a shortage of projects, which is fun, but it also can kind of create a sense of almost like anxiety of like, oh, we need to keep up. We need, it doesn't allow us time for rest.
Yeah.
So that's definitely one of the hardest parts. And also too, being that we are really our only friends that do this, we haven't had like friends or family that is like negative about it, but people that just don't understand why.
Yeah.
Even and that's okay. It's we don't need people to always understand. But yeah. I think I've had a lot of conversations just like, we're doing this. Oh, why? Why would you grow your food when you can just go and buy it and it's a lot easier?
Yeah.
And sometimes even cheaper. But so I guess that's been like an interesting, I wouldn't call it hard, but it's been like an interesting to navigate some of those conversations and just like really validating in ourselves why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. How far are you from town? So
20.
Yeah, we're about 20 minutes from like most things. So there's like a Walmart and grocery stores and Fleet Farm and restaurants, stuff like that, 20 minutes. And then we have a Dollar General that's about 10 minutes away. And then a couple other little local shops that are about 10 minutes away. So it feels like we're very far out there because we're on a dead-end road tucked in between all these valleys, and it's like super beautiful.
Yeah.
And quiet and like very out of the way. But in reality, we're not
that far.
Right, yeah. We're in the country, we're not in the wilderness, I guess.
Yeah.
Would be a good way to put it, so.
But every time someone comes out here, they're like, wow, you're way out here. It just feels very far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you plan on having kids? We do.
We do. In 20 weeks.
In 20 weeks, we have our first baby on the way.
Yay!
Cheers. So March is going to be our due date, and we're going to have the 3rd member of the homestead. So
End of March.
End of March, yeah.
So probably April.
Yeah, so more free labor is what I say.
Stop. I didn't know when you were gonna share it, if you were gonna share that
Yeah.
on the channel.
So this is the first time we're announcing. So if you're watching to this point of the video, first of all, congratulations. You have some endurance to stick through this. But you're the first people to hear about this announcement, so.
Besides our like
Way to go.
family.
Well, yeah, but I mean like in the online world.
In the online world,
In the
yes.
online world. So yes, we are planning on having kids in the very immediate future, and long term we would like to have, I think, more than one is what we've settled on, and
Yes.
but whatever God gives us is will be good. So
Yeah.
yeah. Many hands make light work, Sarah.
Yeah, okay. Okay, whatever.
Do you see yourself living this life forever?
To some extent, yeah.
Yeah.
I do. I don't think I'd ever want to go back to any land less than 10 acres.
Yeah. I would agree. I don't think I see myself ever moving back to suburbs, and definitely not the city. Once you get a taste of your own space
Yeah.
and freedom, it's
Can't hear your neighbors walking above you.
yes. It's
It's a dream.
very intoxicating. Like every time we go back to the cities, I'm always like, oh,
I just feel my blood pressure
Yeah.
rise a little bit.
Yeah.
You just like get a little stressed.
even
It's
like here we're in a pretty large city, I'd say, in Illinois right now, and like looking for hotels, I'm like trying to find like a area that's not overly busy, and like worrying about like crime and stuff, like I never used to worry about that living in the cities, and now it's like, oh, I have to be like more cautious and everything thinking about that. But yeah, I think we only want to expand where we're at. Are we going to be staying at the specific property that we're at forever? That's hard to tell right now.
say.
I mean, we like it, we love it right now.
Yeah,
But-
it's just our home is only a 3-bedroom, so depending on the amount of
Yeah.
children
We have a modest size home, so
Yeah.
it's not depending on how big the family gets. But
Right.
no, I think it would be very, very, very hard to kind of go in the different direction of a lifestyle, which is cool to see.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it'll be cool. See
Cool.
where we grow.
that's it, you guys. Thank you for watching to this point. We'll see you in the next video. I'm Austin.
I'm Sarah.
Have a good night. Bye. I don't like that.